I'm Rob Macdonald, the Vice President of Exploration for Equity Metals, and I'll be speaking today primarily about our flagship Silver Queen project. It's a high-grade epithermal vein system located in central British Columbia, and we've been exploring on that project since 2019. There we go. Oh, I'll go back. There we go. As I say, I'll focus primarily on the Silver Queen project. In 2023, we completed 10,000 meters of drilling in 26 holes. We have assays pending from 14 of those holes, and we anticipate at least an initial batch of assays coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then continued assays carrying on into the new year. We tested 4 different targets. These included vein extensions on 2 existing deposits, as well as testing potential new resource areas at the George Lake and Coal Lake. We collected over 1,400 soil samples, and at this point our next target, our next milestone, is to add another 40 million silver equivalent ounces to what is an already robust 85 million silver equivalent ounces within the resource that I'll go through and break down a little bit later in the presentation. So in terms of investment highlights, we have a high-grade resource that's open for expansion at the Silver Queen project, and we are currently doing that now. We've had exceptional assays that demonstrate great exploration upside throughout the project. We've had tremendous success in increasing our mineral resources in our last update, which came out in December of 2022, where we increased our indicated resources by nearly 200% and our inferred resources by 30%. We also have some diamond assets and royalty assets within the company that I won't really get into in this presentation. We have new drilling now on the George and Coal Lake targets. These are 2 new targets that were never incorporated into the mineral resource update, and continued potential with those. And we feature an experienced management team that has been in the business for decades and understands both the corporate and exploration aspects of developing projects and properties. Capital structure, the main thing here is that we've market capitalization of $16 million. I think it's terribly undervalued at this point, and we're trading in the 9 to 11 cent range over this last couple of weeks. So you can see the chart and the breakdown of share ownership, and you can see with the chart, like many of our peer group have been sort of wallowing a little bit over the last several months due to the softness in the current market. An experienced management team with a proven track record in both exploration, discovery, and development projects in North America. Again, people that know what major projects look like and know how to advance them to production decisions. And so the property portfolio with equity, I mentioned our diamond projects. We have the Monument and the WO projects and the Northwest Territories and the Lac de Gras area, immediately adjacent to the Diavik and Acadie mines. We have a silica project in Saskatchewan, as well as our royalties in Greenwood. But our main flagship, or our flagship, is the Silver Queen project, with high-grade mineral resources totaling 85 million silver equivalent ounces in both the indicated and inferred categories. About 70% of that is in the indicated category, 30% is in the inferred category. The Silver Queen project is located in central British Columbia in the Skeena Arch. And it's surrounded by past producing porphyry projects and epithermal gold-silver projects. This is a very mining intensive area, and the Silver Queen itself was first identified in 1912, and it's been explored off and on for over the last 100 years, and we continue to keep on that path as we move on into 2024. We have a high-grade resource which was updated in 2022, positive metallurgical results, and ongoing drilling demonstrates the expansion potential of the property. We've completed over 35,000 meters in drilling on the project. We've had success in upgrading the resource and have had some excellent exploration success in 2023. The property features superior location and infrastructure. We're located just a 40-minute drive south of Highway 16 in central British Columbia, south of the town of Houston. The road to the Huckleberry mine runs right through the project. We have a power line that feeds Huckleberry running right through the project. Very easily accessible. We're in the rain shadow of the Coast Range, so we're not up in the mountains like operating in the Golden Triangle. Pretty easy access to get around on the property, and you're able to operate all year round. So we have had programs ongoing in January, February, and March. They're a little bit more expensive to run, but there is no real logistical problem with operating all year round in this area. So exploration highlights. We have about 20 different epithermal veins throughout the project. The primary target historically has been the number 3 vein, where much of the drilling has occurred on the property, and extensions to the number 3 vein being the NG3 vein. This was the basis for the initial mineral resource on the project. When we took over management of the company in 2019, we started exploration on the Camp deposit. As we explored the Camp deposit, we transitioned to the east into the Svensson extension, the Svensson deposit, and now up in the upper right of the graphic, we're currently exploring on the George Lake and Coal Lake. We do see some slight differences in the vein characters of the projects. In the Camp vein, you see a vein set of high-grade silver veins, often with lower gold and lower base metals. Throughout the rest of the property, it tends to be more polymetallic gold-silver veins with a stronger component of base metals, and so very, very broadly. So some of the things that we're looking at now is where to find more of the high-grade silver, because you do get some very spectacular silver grades within the property. Here's a breakdown of the mineral resource. It's about 5 million tons in both the indicated and the inferred category. Again, about 70% of the mineralization is in the indicated category, 30% in the inferred category. You look at the average grades between the two, it's 510 grams per ton silver equivalent, so very, very high grade mineralization. And one of the features about this mineralization is that, again, it's high grade, and grade is preserved at higher and higher cutoffs. We did the original resource calculation at $100 Canadian NSR. If you were to double that NSR cutoff up to $200 NSR, you still retain 84% for the base case resource, and the grade jumps up to 650 grams per ton silver equivalent. So again, as projects transition from exploration projects into development projects, that's important, because we all know what happens when engineers get their hands on good exploration projects. And to look again, I was speaking about the Camp vein and the silver enrichment at the Camp vein. You can see high-grade silver values that came out of the drilling on the Camp vein, highs of up to 56,000 grams per ton silver. Other hits of 10, 11, 14,000 grams per ton silver. Gold tends to be a little bit more muted, and you do get some base metals, but it tends to be a little bit more muted. As you transition into the Svensson or the number 3 or the NG3, what you see is an uptick generally an uptick in the gold mineralization or the gold budget. Your silver drops off a little bit, but can still stay quite robust in the hundreds up to a kilo plus silver, and you often tend to have higher base metal component to the mineralization. And these are what the veins look like. High-grade silver veins with low sulfides, and that's reflected in the low base metal values of the veins. Your classic bladed barite, or sometimes quartz after calcite veins in your classic epithermal textures. Sometimes massive sulfide veins. They're black because of the fine-grained sulfides within the vein systems. These tend to have higher base metal values, as you can see in the example from hole 33. And then your classic banded epithermal vein that you see from hole 51. And again, note that that was drilled at over 350 meters below surface. So not only do we have laterally 20 different veins on the property, most of which still have to be be adequately explored, but we see depth potential to these vein systems extending upwards of 400 meters, not only in the camp target and the Svensson targets, but also up in the Coal Lake and the George Lake areas as well. So what we did this year, we have 10,000 meters completed. We think that to get to our next milestone, which again, a reminder, is to add another 40 million silver equivalent ounces, that we, all things being equal, we should need about another 20,000 meters of drilling. Early work in 2023 focused in the camp and the Svensson, and then we transitioned to the George Lake and the Coal Lake, and again they're up in the upper right hand of the graphic. And so here at the camp deposit, this is the wireframes of the veins that were used for the resource calculation. We drilled 10 holes in both the camp, and then you can see also in the Svensson. We were able to extend mineralization in both the camp, so laterally at the camp, also at depth in the camp vein, and filled in a gap, a drilling gap within the Svensson target with getting or identifying new mineralized intercepts that can get built into updated resources. We also completed some soil sampling on the property. It's identified up in the upper left about a 1 square kilometer soil anomaly that is yet to be adequately tested, as well as increasing the footprint of the target potential, particularly in the Svensson deposit. I will note in the camp deposit, despite the high-grade mineralization, you're getting into a boggy area there, and that may very well be the reason why you see maybe a little bit muted response in the soils in those those areas. Again, the assays that we've already released from 2023 in the camp and the Svensson, very much keeping up with the Joneses, some kilo plus silver mineralization coming from the camp, and then good solid gold, silver, polymetallic or base metal mineralization coming out of the Svensson. In the George Lake deposit, and so this was an area that we tested started testing this past fall. I've muted the colors of the historical drilling, and what happened there is that there was the Bulkley crosscut, which extended to the northeast from the number 3 workings. And so this area will be attached underground to the already existing workings at the number 3 deposit. They drilled from underground, and so we came in just this past fall. We confirmed the mineral tenure of the mineralization in around the crosscut, and have now extended mineralization laterally at depth for an additional 400 meters to the southeast. And so we continue to develop the targets. You can see some of the assays that we've had from hole 90 already released, and again some of the nice looking epithermal veins that we're still anticipating assay results to come, in this case in the George Lake area, in the coming 2 to 3 weeks. So keep your eyes out. Again, good early returns from the Coal Lake. We have an interesting hanging wall, these hanging wall intercepts with high-grade copper, high-grade chalcopyrite. A little bit of a curiosity that these sit adjacent to the high-grade precious metal mineralization. We haven't quite worked it out, but at this point I'm just looking at trying to trace them out and see how they can accumulate to a resource. Again, I've sort of shaded out a little bit the historical drilling. It was all relatively shallow. We've done a couple of fences and a couple of step outs from those fences, a total of 8 different holes. We've had, as you can see, from hole 96, some interesting looking vein intercepts coming out of those. Assays from those are still pending. I would anticipate those in the next 2 to 3 months. Coming out of the Coal Lake. So again, lots of good news to look forward to as we move the project on. And now we'll just end off with the surface soils. This is the distribution of the surface soils. It's around a 2.5 by 1.5 kilometer area. The main things that it highlighted was the basic trend of the camp zone and the Svensson zone, as well as the basic trend of the number 3. And you'll see that the camp and the Svensson, they seem to be aligned along a more of an east-west corridor, while the number 3 vein is more northwest-southeast. You see both of those features showing up within the within the soil samples, and particularly within the camp and this fencing, you actually see some stronger northwest-southeast grains. So there may be some structures within the camp and this fencing that we haven't entirely appreciated at this point. You also see some good soils coming out of both the George Lake and the Coal Lake, as well as, you know, the new target area to the north of the camp, as well as the Chisholm zone as well. So lots more to tackle as we continue exploring this project. We're going to be looking at doing a financing, flow-through financing in November, December timeframe. So you might want to keep your eyes open for that, and that'll be associated with some hard dollars as well. And we should be prepared to get back on the ground in April of 2024 and start and continuing to add to the resources that we've already identified at the project. Thank you very much.